the perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter. Clayton Kershaw pitches a no-hitter. It is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner. It's over. Muncy, a walk-off home run. This is way back. Walk 'em off. Chris Taylor.
The Dodgers lose to the Braves, a rough outing for Landon Knack. We got big injury updates, a setback for Tyler Glasnow, an update on Gavin Stone and Tony Gonsolin. Could we see them in the postseason? What will the Dodgers postseason rotation look like right now? All that more coming up next on the Dodgers Nation postgame show.
Another payoff. Benny got him with a slider. Clayton Kershaw. Oscar Hernandez. Mookie mashed. It's a grand slam. And game ender.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to the Dodgers Nation postgame show. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Thanks for joining us after the Dodgers lose Game 1 of a 4-game wraparound series to the Braves in Atlanta. The Dodgers dropped this one by a final score of 6-2. Their record falls to 87-60. They're still 4.5 games up, technically 5.5 games up when you consider the tiebreaker on the Diamondbacks in the division. 5 games up on the Padres, who play right now. And then the Phillies, they lose tonight. So the Dodgers, as far as the best record in baseball, a game behind the Phillies in the entire league. But the big story tonight, outside of the game, which we're going to start with, Tyler Glasnow. He does not make that sim start. He does not go out there and do what we thought he was supposed to do. So we'll talk about that. That really is the big story. He was supposed to pitch a simulated game for the Dodgers today in Atlanta. That did not go as planned. He experienced discomfort in his right elbow, the elbow tendonitis, not allowing him to take the next step in his rehab. We'll talk some Gavin Stone. Got some encouraging updates with Stone and Tony Gonsolin. Some more fuel to the Shohei Ohtani pitching in the postseason fire. We'll talk about that and Dave Roberts' comments. It does look like it's looking at least more likely, even if it's just 1 to 2% chance that Shohei Ohtani could be used in the postseason. But I'll let you know the complications of that. And really, Tyler Glasnow, that really is the big story, and we're going to get into that. But I think we got to start with the game tonight because it was not a pretty game for your Los Angeles Dodgers. But first and foremost, let me know where you're representing Dodgers Nation from. Where is your... Give me your big takeaways from this one. Where's your takeaways? Because this was not a performance you wanted to see from this team. And yes, you've got the Marlins coming up. You got the Rockies. I mean, you're going to still win this division. Very high probability of that. So there's no doubt about it that they're probably going to win this division, and honestly, there's a really good chance that you're going to probably have finished with the best record in the National League and possibly Major League Baseball. But the truth of the matter is if you get there, you don't have the pitching, that's a major concern. But if you look at the Dodgers, even after tonight, they have a 96.7% chance of winning the division and an 18.7% chance of winning the World Series, according to Fangraphs. But big takeaway tonight, first thing we got to talk about is Landon Knack. And yes, Landon Knack on the show this week definitely got the Dodgers Dugout Live karma. And look, sometimes it's just one game. This does not mean that this clunker will define the rest of his season, but it was not a pretty start for Landon Knack. So first things first, give me your grades for Landon Knack. We got Rengoku 81. Glasnow is done for the year. He's not. That's not something that we want to put out in the ether. Okay, don't manifest that. D-Mac, we are done. Okay, the Doomers are out. I respect that. the Doomers are out. Tyler, that was from Abilene. Roy Estrada was really hoping Knack had a good game to separate him from Buehler and Miller. Now he is included with those guys. I finished that, the last one for you guys. You guys know the players do watch the show, so we can't completely get too nasty. Okay, now we got Abilene. D-Mac, we need you on the mound. Hey, I could definitely throw you a 62-mile-per-hour sinker, but it has great run to it. Great arm side run. It's a flyer take. They might need me. It might be me and Decoy, me as the starter and Decoy getting the save for the Dodgers in the World Series at this point. We got to Newport Beach in the house. What's up, C's Life over on the X? Rosemary Rodriguez, bullpen did well. Bats were cold from the rain. Yeah, the rain was a factor. The bullpen, for the most part, they did a really nice job coming in after Landon Knack. But really, the game story starts with Landon Knack, who on the night, he had a really great opportunity to make a real point and establish himself as a legitimate postseason starting pitcher contender for this Dodgers team. If he went out tonight and navigated his way through this Braves lineup on the road against a Braves team that desperately needs wins right now just to make it to the playoffs, I think that with the state of the rotation, the conversation for Knack pitching in October would have been a lot more loud than it's going to be after this start. Because Landon Knack, he gives up 5 runs on 7 hits, had 2 strikeouts, 2 walks in 2 innings of work, through 64 pitches, 39 for strikes. He just wasn't putting hitters away. He was 8 for 15 on first pitch strikes. The slider, he was leaving it out over the plate. And it was unfortunate because it really set this Dodgers lineup back. I mean, we'll talk about the lineup where the MV3 when it combined 0 for 11, so they put up a donut, so that doesn't help. But we know from this team, if you're starting from a deficit, it can definitely impact the momentum on the offensive side. But at the bottom of the first inning, Soler on a 1-0 count, he gets a single to left. So you're falling behind the count. Leaves a 4-seam fastball a little out over the plate. The next batter, Ozuna, he's got him down the count 0-2. It's looking like he's going to get through that, and then he misses with the third pitch, throws a ball, misses badly, a slider that was a just non-competitive pitch. He just did not have the feel for that slider, and Landon Knack told me a couple days ago that of all of his pitches, when he has the slider, that's a strong indication that he is feeling good about his mechanics, about his command, about his stuff, and that really opens everything up for him, and it allows that fastball to be more effective. It allows the curveball to be more effective. But he misses with that pitch, then Ozuna fouls off 3 straight pitches. Down the 7th pitch to the back, same said slider was hit for a single to left. He leaves it up a little out of the plate, not establishing the lower part of the zone. And then very next batter, 1-1 count to Matt Olson. He doubles to right. That scored Soler, and that gave the Braves an early 1-0 lead. Ozuna gets to third on the Olson double. He does bounce back to strike out Travis d'Arnaud on 3 pitches for the second out. And then Laureano, he flies to center, and that's with runners on second and third. That was a tremendous catch by Tommy Edman. So Tommy Edman doing it at the plate, doing it in the outfield. He definitely should really get a lot of credit for making that inning a lot better than it was. It could have been an absolute disaster there in that first inning. Landon Knack definitely should send Tommy Edman a fruit basket and definitely give him a big a thank you for that fantastic catch that he made right there, because it looked like it was going to be an ugly first inning. It was already definitely tough as it was, but yeah, credit to Tommy Edman. And you see the type of plays that he's able to make. And the Ramon Laureano, that fly out there, it was 103 miles per hour off the bat. He had a 620 expected batting average. It would have been a home run in 12 of 30 parks in Major League Baseball, including Dodger Stadium. So fantastic play by Tommy Edman. I will throw something in there as well. You guys know I love me some Kevin Kiermaier. With the way that Tommy Edman's playing and Kiermaier not getting opportunities, what do I always say? Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. Kiermaier's not getting as many opportunities. They know they have a center fielder that can play that position at above average level. Does Kiermaier really clear the roster cut? Does he really make this 13-man roster, or do they go with the bat? Pages, Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez. Does Dalton Rushing get an opportunity? Are they saying to us, hey, Dalton Rushing, Just give the at-bats down in AAA, maybe call him up the last week, have him fill in for an injured player, and then give him an opportunity. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. It does feel like the stock for Kevin Kiermaier is going down as far as his chances to make this postseason roster. I think a lot of that has to do with the stellar play of Tommy Edman. So after that inning, Dodgers in bad shape because the bats were doing nothing. The bats didn't do anything tonight. They scored 2 runs. Rojas was able to hit a home run the 3rd inning, but yeah, I mean, they definitely did not do a good job getting to Schwellenbach today. But then bottom of the 2nd, that was the inning that really was the disaster. That was the nightmare ending for Landon Knack. He threw 44 pitches in the 2nd inning, gave up 4 runs on 4 hits. And you start the inning off walking Arcia after being up in the count 0-2. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. Knack just didn't have the ability to finish off hitters when he needed to. You're up 0-2 in the count. You misses with the slider. That slider just did not have the feel for that slide piece tonight. And then he walks in for a leadoff walk. Next batter, Urshela, he falls behind the count 2-0. 3rd pitch, 4-seam fastball, leaves it out over the plate. He wanted it on one of the corners there. He missed his spot, and Urshela, he hits a 2-run shot to left, 416 feet, and just like that, the Braves are up 3-0 early. Then very next batter, Merrifield, 9-pitch at bat. He reaches on an infield single to short. Not much you can do on that play. Definitely a tough at-bat. Shows you how much he was laboring there at 9-pitch at-bat. And then a couple batters later, Jorge Soler falls behind the count. They're sitting on stuff, tries to go with that curveball to steal a strike early in this one, but just did not have the depth to it, didn't have the location on it, needs to keep that low. He leaves it up, and then Soler, little Soler power there, he crushes it to left. Another home run for the Braves, another 2-run shot. They go up 5-0. And then, thankfully, it wasn't worse. I mean, next batter, Ozuna. By the way, Ozuna's up there with Correa as far as like players, like kind of the players I hate list. I don't know, at least for me. Remember Ozuna trying to catch that Kike Hernandez fly ball when he's in St. Louis? And he tries to jump on the wall, and then he gets off the wall, and he dives, and he just missed it so embarrassingly bad. But, yeah, Ozuna, he singles to center. Then, with Olsen at the plate in a runner on first, he struck him out swinging with the changeup. I think the changeup he just was not using tonight, and that's usually a pitch that can help him in a big way. So it's unfortunate that just wasn't there for him tonight. I think it kind of explains his ineffectiveness. Then with 2 outs, he walks d'Arnaud on 7 pitches, and then he got Laureano to ground to short to end the inning. But just like that, they're up 5-0. I mentioned top of the 3rd, Rojas, he homered to left. That gave the Dodgers their first run of the night. And Miguel Rojas, he continues to hit, continues to play great defense. Power numbers have been better. It was his 5th home run of the season. And, of course, he's not a guy that hits a ton of home runs. That's not his game. The most home runs he's ever hit in a year is 11. That was back in 2018. But still, it was a little sign of life for this Dodgers team. A lot of time left in this game. But next batter, Ohtani strikes out swinging, and some bad at-bats for Ohtani tonight. I mean, swing at pitches up out of the zone, especially the at-bat to Jimenez later in the game when he swung at ball 4, and it was about 2 feet high out of the zone. So some big daddy hacks from Ohtani tonight, and then Betts flied out. So they get 1 run on 1 hit there in the 3rd inning. And then top of the 4th, the Dodgers plated another run after Freddie Freeman struck out swinging. By the way, Freddie Freeman, a little slump right now, hitting 130 in his last 23 at-bats. Wasn't the homecoming in Atlanta that he had hoped for. Well, after that, Teoscar Hernandez, he hits a 1-out double to center, followed by a Max Muncy strikeout for the 2nd out. But that brings up Tommy Edman. Great at-bat for Edman. Tommy tanks. Remember, Tony Taters already has the patent on that nickname. But Tony tanks Tommy Edman. He singles to right. That scored Teoscar to make it 5-2. At that point, you still feel like the Dodgers have a pretty decent chance of making this one interesting. And great at bat there from Tommy Edman. He falls behind the count 0-2. A couple pitches later, takes a slider, doesn't try to do too much with it. He singles to right. So I think what I love about Tommy Edman is, one, he can hit for contact. He can put the bat on the baseball when you want him to in certain spots. And I think that really is a change of pace for a Dodgers lineup. So when they're really struggling at times, they try to hit 10-run home runs just to get back in this game. Well, that certainly wasn't the case there for Tommy Edman, who had been on this power surge. Previous 2 games, he had hit 4 home runs in his last 2 games. Sounds wild to say that. But next batter, you had Will Smith. He singled to left, but then with Tommy Edman at third and Smith at first, they had runners on the corners. Lux, he flied to left to end the threat. But outside of that, really not much doing for this Dodgers offense. Not much doing for this Dodgers offense at all after that inning. The fifth inning, they go down order 1, 2, 3. The 6th inning, they go down order 1, 2, 3. The 7th inning, they go down in order after Will Smith did reach on an infield single. Gavin Lux hit into a double play to end the threat. But 8th inning, not much happening. They go down order, and then bottom of the inning against Iglesias, you really don't have much of a chance. They went down in order. The Braves were able to add another run there in the bottom of the 8th after Brett Honeywell fear the turtleneck. Well, the turtleneck hasn't always worked out from this season, but with 2 outs, I mean, that's what Honeywell, man, gets 2 outs, and then he has some issues. Merrifield got a 2-out single. Then he gets the second on a disengagement violation. And after that, Harris, he doubled to right for another insurance run for the Braves. They go up 6-2 at that point. Then he bounces back to strike out White. But that's really the story of the game. Landon Knack didn't have it. It was a clunker by Landon Knack. The MV3, they didn't show up tonight. They go 0 for 11. You got some big swings from Shohei Ohtani. So let me know down below, what are your big takeaways from tonight's game? I think the number one is that if Landon Knack was auditioning for a postseason start, didn't do a great job of really proving to these coaches in the front office that he's ready for it. I will say, having said that, I still think that Landon Knack should firmly be in the conversation. I think you want to see more from him because we've seen him be steady and solid. And when you compare some of his blow-up innings, I think the blow-up inning potential has been less for him than, say, a guy like a Bobby Miller versus bringing in Tony Gonsolin and having his first starts be in the postseason and potentially late in the season. So, look, every pitcher is going to have their clunkers, and Landon Knack has posted a 3 ERA this entire season. So I don't want to hear people out there after one rough start in a tough environment against the Braves who are desperate to win saying, oh, I'm done with Landon Knack. No, Landon Knack, you might need Landon Knack. With the way things are shaping up for this starting rotation, do not do that thing and just say, oh, I'm done with Landon Knack after one bad start. We got, but yeah, now I'm going to focus on all the comments because I know you guys have a lot to say, and we're going to talk about Glasnow in a minute, because it's scary times for sure for the Dodgers starting rotation. David Park, Shohei equals Doug. Yeah, tonight's version. By the way, today I wear a full-blown Shohei Ohtani uniform for the Dodgers Nation Media Day. That was good times. I might wear it tomorrow for no reason. Just wear it to the grocery store. Be good times. We got Knack as a rookie. He didn't have his best outing, but we need to relax. It was one game. I give him a C. Wow, what do you know? A level-headed, rational take. I like that. Kelly O'Shea gives Knack an F. Same thing, different year from David Rivera. Landscape vision, yeah, I feel that. Knack gets a D- from Roy Estrada, a D- from Jake Bogner, Andrew _Nathan, Yama, Kershaw, Walker, Miller, and Stone. SMH, you're already throwing out your postseason rotation as it stands. ADG, Knack taking on some heavy hitters. Yeah, like I said, didn't have the slider, didn't have the fastball command like he needed to, was falling behind hitters and just wasn't putting guys away when he did have 2 strikes on him, for sure. Haha, D-Mac would be throwing that split-finger torta. That's from Ring. Okay, bruh, for that one. Is it too late to trade Bobby? It definitely is. We got 40 pitch innings are unacceptable. Yeah, I mean, that was rough. That was rough right there. 44 pitch inning. It was a long inning too. It was like 20 minutes long for sure. Thanks, D-Mac, just frustrated. Hey, this is your Dodgers therapy session. I'm here for you guys, okay? And you're here for me too. Kermit won a $4.99 super chat. I appreciate that. That's going to the Extend to Oscar Fund for sure. D-Mac, I'm concerned about the Dodgers not being able to come back when the opposing teams score big on them early. What are your thoughts? Kermit 1, I think that's a legitimate and valid concern because this Dodgers team, one thing about this team, they're a great front-running team. They absolutely are a great front-running team. And yes, they have 7 walk-offs this season. Yes, we've seen some epic comeback wins, but this team is at its best when they score early. It's usually via slugging, multiple home runs, and then you get decent starting pitching, great bullpen support, and you win the game. But yeah, I mean, I think with the guys they have in the lineup, you do see some big swings. And the at-bat quality, it seems to deteriorate when you're trying to fight your way back. That's why I do think this team is better equipped to have a different style of play when they are trailing in comparison to the teams that we've seen the last couple of seasons. Because you do have the Mookies and Freddies and the Shoheis. And at the end of the day, look, let's just be honest about this. This team's success or failure, if they're going to go deep into the postseason, is largely going to be predicated on those guys eating. Those guys got to eat. Those guys got to go out there and do damage and be the biggest reason why this offense scores a ton of runs. But you also do have guys like a Tommy Edman who can put the ball in play. Miguel Rojas hits a home run tonight. He puts the ball in play. Gavin Lux has cooled off since his second half surge, but he also offers a different style as well. So, look, that's why I think that, kind of getting back to Kevin Kiermaier, defense is great, but if you want the dub, you've got to slug it. You might need another bat at this point. So that's why if he's going to be a dead bat, and when I was pushing for Kiermaier, and I still think there's a chance he does make this team, it was when the offense was better and he was getting more opportunities. But you definitely probably need to get as many bats as you can. And Pages can still rake against left-handed pitching. Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez, they've performed in the postseason. Dalton Rushing, I still will say it again. I think I'm going to be a broken record. I want to see him get an opportunity. But yeah, certainly the approach definitely needs to change in those situations for sure. I think you need to have a little bit of a two-strike approach. Just find a way to get on base, score a run, and then things will open up. Because the last thing you want to see, this felt like a playoff game as far as a playoff-style loss with your best players not performing well. And I think there's a little bit of, okay, Freddie's in a little bit of slump, still dealing with that finger a little bit, I'm assuming. And then he's in Atlanta. We know the emotions there. Mookie Betts, he's been outstanding. I mean, you really can't really say too much about Mookie having one bad showing, right? I mean, Mookie has one bad showing. It's going to happen. It's baseball. Even the great players are going to have their off nights. And for the most part, Mookie has been fantastic since coming back off the injury after the broken hand. I mean, heading into this one in September, Mookie's hitting .361 with an 1189 OPS. I think Shohei, he's got to be thinking 50-50. I don't care what he says, what they say. He's got to be thinking about it. And you saw some big swings in the at-bat later in the game, and I think that's something that you want to continue to monitor as the weekend goes along. Because let's not forget, yes, it's a score at that point where it's out of reach, and you might as well say, you know what, probably not going to win this game. Let's get this home run record thing over with so we can just kind of get back to focusing on getting ready for the postseason and everything that implies. But just look at that at-bat for Shohei Ohtani later in this game. Hopefully it's not something we see throughout this road trip, because he was up in the count 3-1. Then he fouled one off up in the zone. Big time hack. And on the sixth pitch, he swung and missed at a four-seam fastball where he was late. It was way out of the zone. I mean, at that point, it's a 5-2 game. You know, he gets on base. Betts is behind him. You give Betts an opportunity to see what he can do. And then who knows? With one swing, it's a one-run game. So I still want to see Ohtani kind of get on base and give Betts some opportunity. So definitely not his best night as well. Cat wants Gonsolin out of the house. Kike has to go to the bullpen. Maybe Shohei's dog can pitch. Gary A. Daniel Clark, I'm not mad at Knack. He'll bounce back. We'll get him tomorrow. Go Dodgers. I like that, Daniel Clark. Charlene, rate this is going. Wouldn't be surprised if Knack is also secretly injured. Look, all these guys at this point are dealing with stuff. It's the nature of the game for sure. Lindsay, I'm tired of the MV3 going over 12. Can't win with that lack of production. Let's go down here. Face it. Everyone, let's be real. Don't fool yourself. This team's not going to win. Ray Soto, that 35 age creeping up on Freddie, 280. I mean, at some point it's inevitable, right? At some point, all these players are going to fall out of their primes, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, we just saw Freddie Freeman a couple weeks ago look great. And, I mean, the beauty of it is he's in the third year of that $162 million contract. Honestly, I just need a couple more years out of that. If you give me 4 out of 6 elite years, and if there's any Braves fan that tells you that Freddie's best years with the Braves, the numbers say that his year last year was the best year of his career individually, where he hit 59 doubles and had 29 home runs. But like I said, I mean, we're not that far removed. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he had the 2 home run game against the Diamondbacks. But since then, he has struggled for sure. I mean, he's hit 130 in his last 23 at bats, but I wouldn't do too much of that. Just an off game for them. D-Mac, I'm going to be a Mitch Lotta half full Dodgers fan, 100%. At least our bullpen was strong today. Yeah, if you want to go Mitch Lotta half full, I love that take. I'm going to give you a comment of the show for that. It is that the bullpen did come in and they put up zeros for the most part. Outside of Honeywell later in the game, you had Michael Grove. He went 2 innings. Nice job there by Grove, and also efficient. I mean, think about this. Landon Knack goes 2 innings and throws 64 pitches. Michael Grove, 2 innings, 29 pitches. And just 1 hit, 1 strikeout, but good stuff from Michael Grove tonight. And also, more encouraging news, Brusdar Graterol, he came out after Knack, and he pitched well, too. I mean, give him a lot of credit, because that's one of the big developments right now is, can Brusdar Graterol be that guy? And it was his second start back off the IL. The first one, he gave up 2 hits against the Cubs, and also was able to get those ground ball outs. But I thought he looked a lot better tonight for Brusdar Graterol. You saw the strikeout. Did have the walk, but still efficient, 16 pitches. Then Daniel Hudson, he pitched well. 1 inning, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. And then Honeywell goes 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, no walks and a strikeout on 32 pitches. So for the most part, they definitely did what they needed to do. But the Dodgers offense, I mean, they go 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. They did not create enough opportunities. They just didn't. You do not want to see that. And I think it was a bad game. It was an off night for this offense. But we're going to talk about the Glasnow stuff soon. But here, let me read some more comments, because you guys are lighting up tonight. By the way, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel, the #1 Dodgers post-game show, doing tons of giveaways for the postseason, a lot of stuff on the horizon, so you do not want to miss out. We're working on our subscriber program with VIPs, lots of really exciting stuff in the works for your boys in blue. So definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you really want to help me out and help the channel out, and hit the like button, always helps, and leave your comments below. Brandon, I totally agree. NLDS vibes. Dodger Blue 71, blow this up next season. Okay, that's a little too hot of a take for me. That's a bit of overreacting to me. David Durazo says Stoner gets the #4 start. We're going to talk about that. Michael Negretti says Knack was in a hurry. He and D-Mac were going to get a torta. Okay, I'm going to give a bruh. Sometimes I go Ron Burgundy and read everything. D-Mac, what's the news on Gonsolin? Does he make the postseason roster? Okay, so it feels like you guys are ready to change gears. Let's flush this loss. I had the Dodgers going 2-2 in this series, so I'm not totally shocked by this, but you have to start with Tyler Glasnow. So let's switch gears and let's talk about the really important stuff, and that is that Tyler Glasnow was scheduled to pitch in a simulated game today in Atlanta, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen due to the fact that he was warming up, and as he was warming up, he felt discomfort in his elbow. And Glasnow is a tough guy. He loves to pitch, and he would not avoid the simulated game unless there was something that was bothering him. And clearly the discomfort was to the point where he just couldn't do it. So that was supposed to be a big box that he checked off today. And because of that, it remains to be seen when he's going to return and what's the plan for him. Dave Roberts said that it was a setback and that if it had gone well, if everything went to plan, there was very little time to begin with to get him ramped up and ready to go. There was very little time to begin with, and now the clock is ticking, and there's just not enough days on the calendar before the postseason to start to feel good about this. I'm not going to spin this. Dave Roberts said it's a setback. It's a setback. Juan Toribia of MLB.com, he tweeted out, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said Tyler Glasnow had a setback as he warmed up for a simulated game today. Obviously will impact if he can return at all before the end of the season. Glasnow will get additional testing. So two big takeaways from that tweet from the great Juan Toribia is we don't know if he's going to even be back to even get one start before the end of the season. And two, he's going to get additional testing. So they're going to do more imaging. They're going to see what is going on with this arm that they extended, gave $136+ million to in the contract extension. And it's bad news. There's no way to shape it. There's no way to spin this. This is bad news because, one, it means that there's a lingering injury. And two, I mean, there's no guarantee at this point that we're going to see Tyler Glasnow for the remainder of the season in the postseason. And also, I mean, what does this mean for how does this get better? Does this lead to surgery? Hate to say it. Hopefully that's not the case. Is this something where if he does pitch at all this season, does he increase his chances of having this get more serious and leading to a surgery? I mean, there's just so many questions at this point. And it's unfortunate because with Tyler Glasnow this season, he's averaged 6 innings per start. He's made 18 starts. He's averaged 6 innings per start this year. So I know the doomers are going to be out there. I know the haters are going to be out there. They're going to say Tyler Glassarm. The truth of the matter is the Dodgers have really done everything to try to keep him healthy. And the truth is, too, that when you look at the innings pitched, he did pitch 134 innings so far this season. He has pitched that. That's a new career high in innings pitched in a regular season. He has made 22 starts. That's also a new career high. But unfortunately, he's getting injured at the worst possible time of the season. He started 18 of the Dodgers' 89 games when he was active. And he basically was starting once every 5 games that they played. He pitched 14 times on 5 days rest, 4 times on 6 days rest. He also started the Dodgers opener against the Padres in Seoul, South Korea. And after that, I mean, he had the 7 days rest. So it's not good news. It's terrifying news, to be honest, because Tyler Glasnow is the one guy, like I said, every single start, 18 games this season, Tyler Glasnow went 6 innings. And when he's at his best, he's better than any pitcher the Dodgers have. When you look at the fastball velocity, the curveball, his curveball is right up there with Devin Williams' airbender. I mean, as far as the most devastating pitches in baseball. I mean, that's how good that pitch is. Slider as well. I mean, Devin Williams' airbender, Tyler Glasnow's curveball. When it comes to whiffs, when it comes to stuff plus, when it comes to advanced stuff, that is a money pitch. And you pair that with the slider, he's your game 1 starter. And there's no guarantees that he's going to be back this season. Then you add the fact that, I mean, they're in a tough spot as far as how much wear and tear they're putting on their bullpen. Is there going to be enough gas left in the tank? Is there going to be tread on the tires for this bullpen once they get to October? Because at this point, you're looking at a Dodgers pen with the way that pitchers aren't built up. Glasnow is not going to be fully built up. Maybe Yamamoto gets fully built up to 6 innings, 90-plus pitches. Gavin Stone will talk about in a second here. Jack Flaherty is essentially the only pitcher that you can make a strong case for that you could see going 6+ innings in the postseason right now. The other ones there's massive question marks about. And with that, at this point, you're looking at a Dodgers bullpen that's had to pitch a lot down the stretch, and two, is going to essentially have to take down around 55% of the innings in the postseason at this rate. So it's a massive concern. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And now you're looking at a postseason rotation of Flaherty in game one. In my opinion, I'd give Flaherty the ball in game one just because of his experience and how he's looked. Jack Flaherty is your game one starter if Tyler Glasnow can't go. Behind him, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who looked great in his first start back. 8 strikeouts, 11 whiffs in 4 innings of work. He looked fantastic. He certainly would be your game 2 starter. Then when you get to game 3 without Glasnow, we're talking about Walker Buehler. We're talking about hopefully Clayton Kershaw, hopefully Gavin Stone. Kersh and Stone, how many innings can they pitch at that point? Knack, who did not do his best tonight, and I think his chances of being the guy that gets that ball took a hit tonight. It's not over, but there's a good chance that if things proceed like this, I mean, Walker Buehler, as far as trust level, as far as his stuff of late, I mean, Buehler is on top of Gonsolin and Bobby Miller. I think Landon Knack at this point, it's kind of, do you go with what Landon Knack does when he's at his best, but then you factor in the 0 postseason experience. But you could be looking at a guy who has a 5.95 ERA in Walker Buehler coming in as your game 3 starter. And then if it goes to game 4, then you're talking about Landon Knack. Then you're talking about Bobby Miller potentially, Gavin Stone. So it gets dicey. I mean, it feels like that we see this every single year, and I think that we're going to have a long I mean, depending on how this year plays out, we're going to have a very long conversation about kind of the pitchers that the Dodgers sign, to be honest with you, because it's not like they could have done anything more to keep Yamamoto healthy. He missed almost 3 months. And he was pitching once a week. Glasnow, the first sign of any injury, they shut him down. He wasn't pitching with the check engine light on. Any sign of any discomfort, they shut him down. But, I mean, who we talk? Michael Grove? I mean, when you look, I mean, we're a couple bad things away from talking about Ben Kasperius in the postseason. I'm only kidding, but, I mean, you look at right now, I mean, who's available? Flaherty, Buehler, Miller, and Knack. Those are the guys. Plus Yamamoto, right? Other guys, lots and lots of question marks about. Lots and lots of question marks about. And at this point, like I said, it feels like every year it's the Netflix show Squid Game and guys just breaking, and you lose guys every single week down the stretch until you're making desperate measures down the stretch to get postseason starts. And you're having guys that you did not plan to get those big starts and big games in those spots. So I'm not fear-mongering. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that Glasnow can return in some capacity, and you build him up throughout the postseason. Then you find a way to get past that NLDS round, and then the chances of him pitching deeper into games increases. But the truth of the matter is today was a major setback. So let's read some more of your comments, and we're going to talk Gavin Stone, talk some Tony Gonsolin. Glasnow headed for the 14th TJ surgery. Come on, South. Kersh, was that Knack or October Kersh? Ouch. Nando going in on him today. We got Carmen says, I've had tendinitis since January, long time to heal. We got Noise by Noel. What's up, Noel Sanchez? Doug, I love you so much. You're my king. If Doug has 1 million fans, I am one. If Doug has 1 fan, it is me. If Doug has no fans, I'm no longer here. Bunch of fire, laughing, and heart emojis. That's come to the show by Young Lotto right there. David Morales is in the chat talking about Glasnow was overused. Carmen Alexander. Look, I think that at 134 innings, I mean, is he overused? I mean, he's the ace. He's the ace of your staff. I mean, what are we talking about, Major League Baseball? Are guys just going to go 4 innings now? Are you going to pay guys all that money for 4 innings? I mean, you had to win a division. I mean, we're talking about a division race, a race for best record in baseball. I know what you're saying. I hear your point, but you give a guy $136.5 million, you're paying him $27.3 million per season. You have to see what he can do. It's not like he's old. It's not like he's old at all. He should be in the prime of his career. And look, he's 31 years old. Just turned 31 back in August. I mean, he needs to, you got to see what you have in him. You got to see him if he's your ace, man. We got, he's done for the season, arcade, light grid. Dodgers pitchers are built softly. I don't think it's that. I think that it is at some point we're going to have a deeper dive into this, and I don't want to shortchange this conversation because it's a lot of thoughts here that I have, but the guys that they target are guys that throw the hardest, have the best spin rates, have the highest upside, but with that comes injury issues. And it's not a Dodgers problem exclusively. I will say the Dodgers this season, their pitchers have spent more time on the injured list than any team in Major League Baseball. So I don't think that's necessarily these pitchers being soft with who they are or anything like that. But I do think that the conversation needs to head towards which pitchers are we identifying and kind of looking at that injury history. I mean, a lot of the time, the reason why they get high upside on a guy like Walker Buehler, and Walker Buehler falls to them in the draft when he was out of Vanderbilt, is because he had Tommy John surgery. And when you are the Dodgers and you're winning every single season in the regular season, well, you're going to fall in the draft, and you don't have a lot of high upside picks in that situation. We got... This is typical Dodgers getting a pitcher with a history of injuries from Mr. G. Six-man rotation from 208 Patriot. Rosemary Rodriguez, an evaluation of pitching situations needs to be addressed at the end of the season. At this point, I think that that's a valid claim. Frankie, I like... for sure. I mean, the reality of it all, the truth of this all is, look, this is not a 5-alarm fire yet. But the thing about the tendon is, here's the thing. I see people out there, you guys are saying Tommy John. And first of all, I don't like saying that word in general, but let's just be honest about this. It's tendinitis. There's no link there that tendinitis is going to lead to Tommy John. That's not how this works. A tendon is not a muscle, right? You can't strengthen a tendon to avoid Tommy John surgery. Tendons they break, they wear out. But tendinitis is unrelated. So a lot of this is discomfort in finding a way to minimize the pain. So BC points out the Brewers over the D-backs 2-1. It's good news. Dylan McKee. Jack Flaherty is the only pitcher that has been healthy this year and hasn't been a Dodger all year. Coincidence? Interesting take there. I will say that Flaherty is someone who has been pretty durable for long stretches of his career, and also he's in a contract year as well. I mean, Flaherty has dealt with injuries, but still, yeah. I mean, it's a fair point, though. I mean, I don't think that here's the thing. I don't think that this is something where, the Dodgers are saying, use this type of mechanics, right? Have you guys heard about the inverted W, right? I mean, with this kind of pitching motion that's really in vogue right now. It's not like they're out there giving guys mechanics that lead to injuries, but it is interesting that you do point that out. $4.99 super chat from Drew. Last year's Urias mess up, and now Glasnow, make it stop, Dougie. Expensive pain. It does feel like starting pitching is cursed. Just gonna lie. Here we go. We got El Machi Chingon. Itis is inflammation, so it's tendon inflammation. Exactly. Angel Escobar, don't worry, D-Mac, the Dodgers will win it all next year. No, I don't want to talk about next year. I want to win it all this year, okay? Bilal K, our biggest problem is we cannot score right now today for sure. Nando 390. If Kershaw pitches in October, then D-Mac got to get the Thank You Fans 2024 exit Insta post ready. I mean, Kershaw certainly looks like there's some possibility of it. Now, let's get some positive news. Let's get some Mitch Lotta half full takes in here. And that is that Gavin Stone is expected to start a throwing program this weekend. So that definitely is positive. So the positives on the injury front when it comes to starting pitching is, one, Gavin Stone is expected to start a throwing program this weekend. And two, Tony Gonsolin is about to make his second rehab start on Sunday with Oklahoma City. So that's positive. Now, they have really downplayed the possibility of Tony Gonsolin, and Tony Gonsolin has struggled in the postseason. But at this point, it's something that's possible when you look at it, when you look at the guys that are available. So, I mean, what they told Tony Gonsolin was it's a good carrot to dangle, I guess, is what Dave Roberts told us, in the sense that, hey, chase the postseason and use it as a way to carry momentum into the next year. But, I mean, Dave Roberts did tell Tony Gonsolin there is a chance for him this year. That's just the truth. So he has to be ready. He has to go through these rehab starts with that mindset. Now, does Tony Gonsolin inspire a lot of confidence in the postseason? And that's a very big ask to tell a starting pitcher to, hey, let's forget your no spring training. Let's have your kind of spring training plus be in the postseason on a team that has a ton of pressure in the World Series. And Tony Gonsolin has a 9.20 postseason ERA. He's had his postseason issues in the past. So if we're on the relying on Tony Gonsolin chapter of the 2024 season, that is definitely a little scary. A little scary right there. Gonsolin on the mound in the postseason after they spent so much money on this rotation would definitely feel very Dodgers in recent years, but still, I mean, it's definitely a positive, though. Now, as far as Gavin Stone, it's too late to ramp him up to 90 pitches. So you just have to see what you can get out of him in the first place. But you add the fact that those guys are coming back, and Gavin Stone, he has the best shot if he pitches well and everything goes right to make this postseason roster, and at the very least get the ball early in the game. But then you kind of go back into the, hey, how much are we overworking the bullpen heading into the playoffs? So you're going to need these guys to factor in somehow. And then there's the update on Shohei Ohtani. So Dave Roberts, he told Sirius XM Radio about the possibility of Shohei Ohtani pitching this season. He said, I think you should always leave some margin, a crack in the door for any possibility. If things line up and there's a need in the game, everything is telling us that it makes sense in that situation. Great. It would be storybook. The question is, I was asked, is it a possibility? Anything is possible. We've still got a lot to work to get to October, and we have to get there first. I hope that's on his mind as far as motivation for his rehab, but the odds of it coming to pass are very slim, but they're not zero. That's my only thing. He's probably, I don't know exactly, because his calendar is obviously a little quirky. He's far away, but still, there's more than a 0% chance. So Mark Pryor also said at MLB.com, but if I had to guess based on the amount of pens, he'd still at least need a couple more weeks before we got to having that conversation. And even then, that might be a little accelerated. So, look, it's more than a 0% chance. Until they say, nope, 100% it's not happening, you have to at least entertain the idea and think that there is a possibility there. Now, it's going to be really interesting in the early rounds of the postseason, because you're talking about a player that's never played in October. He's never played in the postseason, and he's going to be focusing on trying to be the leadoff hitter, trying to put this team on his back and score a ton of runs and help this team's offense avoid those October droughts that we've seen in the past. Well, guess what? If you want him to pitch in the postseason, he still has to make those rehab efforts before games. And those will be scheduled before postseason games. And I've been there all season long, and I've watched Ohtani get his work in before games. So it's very different to get your rehab in a game, some random game in July against the Royals, some random game in August against the Diamondbacks. I mean, it's very different to get your pregame rehab work in those games versus before postseason games. So that's definitely what he would have to be up against. And you're talking about a guy that would not be on a rehab start. He wouldn't go down to AAA, anything like that. He would have to do all that in simulated games against hitters before games early in the day. And that's also predicated and based on them going farther in this series and further during the postseason and not getting bounced in the first round. So Dave Roberts also said, I just think we all have to feel very confident that the buildup, the stretch of pitches that he would be able to handle, the cost benefit of him potentially doing something like that, we all have to be in lockstep, and it's got to make complete sense. So, look, at this point, I mean, the fact they're even hinting at it makes me feel that it's something they're discussing heavily and that there's a lot of communication with Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers at this point and the pitching staff. And, hey, what are you capable of? Because, look, I mean, situationally, I mean, remember, Shohei Ohtani is not going to be starting the game. If he were to pitch, it would likely be coming out of the bullpen. So that tells me it would be in the ninth, right? Because, I mean, what if he's batting in the eighth? And then what do you do in that situation, right? Because you don't have to designate him as a pitcher yet on the roster. So there's going to be a lot of hard discussions about that. But the truth is, I mean, the fact that you're kind of talking about this is very terrible. Because Glasnow is supposed to be your number one. Henry, can you say hi to my son? What up, Henry? We got the defense was bad, always injured, always big hype, never play. That's from White Hole, son. Yeah, for sure. D-Mac, he was overused. Those were his career high in innings, and he's been hurt every year. Alex Renteria. Here's the thing. I mean, at this point, like there's not a. People get too caught up in the innings. And sure, you can wrap guys in bubble wrap, have them make limited starts, give them IL stints, but it's the stress you put on your arms when you're out there that make the biggest difference. You only have, I was told by a scout, it comes to a point where you only have so many bullets, right? And that's just how it is. And when you're in there and you pitch at the level that Tyler Glasnow pitches at, it's a lot of stress on your arm. It's a lot of stress on your arm, right? It's not like you can just do maintenance on it, right? I mean, this guy's an F1 race car that's going at full speed. It's not like it's a nice little drive around the countryside to do maintenance on it. When he's in there, he's doing max effort. And it's less about the innings overall, and it's more about the stress he's putting on his arm whenever he's in there. I mean, he's in the 85th percentile in fastball velocity. I mean, he's a big guy. Lots of moving parts. 6'8", 225. Big dude. Friedman gave us no offense from Blau K. Disagree. I feel pretty good about this offense as a whole. Just a bad night. DFA Taylor, we got, how about we friggin' sign a star pitcher that will not be injured? White Hole Sun. Thomas Juan. Okay. You're trying not to say Tommy John. Thomas Juanito. Nando 390, maybe the Dodgers are pulling a fast one and just have Glasnow on Phantom. At this point, I don't think that's the case, just because at this point you want him back because you want to build him up. You got to try to build him up as much as you can so he can go deeper into games and not tax the bullpen. So, I mean, the fact that we might not see him for the rest of the regular season, it's certainly trending in that direction, kind of lets you know that that's probably the direction it's headed. Angel, that's where baseball gets it all wrong, D-Mac. Pitching is not strictly velo. It's locating your pitch as well. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a fire take for that. I think that speaks to a bigger conversation on the velocity revolution. And I've spent whole videos on that and how the average fastball has gone up 3-4 ticks from 20 years ago. And, yeah, the pitch clock, the added stress. I've talked to pitchers about how the pitch clock is definitely not the main reason, but it certainly does not help. Certainly does not help. Realistic, a little Toradol goes a long way. Yeah, honestly, at this point, D-Mac, Greinke, and Hill are available. That's a combo show. Get Rich Hill. Get the band back together with Zach Greinke. Perfect. For sure. Gavin Stone is so important in the postseason, y'all. D-Mac, the Catman, might just save us from arcade light grid. Hey, at least it gives them another option. I will say that. PJ says Cancun Ticks booked. Okay, we got some doomers. Arcade, I'm with you on the Catman. Bring back Chanho Park and Nomo. Ramley Tiez. Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, Sandy Koufax. Bring him in there, man. It's tough. Fernando, imagine that rotation. Sandy, Oral Hershiser, Fernando, maybe Gonsolin, maybe Gagne can be the closer for sure. Can someone get Gonsolin some catnip from El Mach Chingon? We got Freddie Freeman is already making excuses for the team not hitting on the Apple TV pregame interview. I didn't see what he said. Gavin Stone is 50-50. Whitehole Sun, I hate baseball with 5-inning pitchers. It's definitely very stressful. It's a different game than it has been this era versus years past. I mean, lots of injuries, lots of bullpen moves. It's definitely not like it used to be. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard some of the pitch limit, the ideas for pitchers moving forward. I mean, it's pretty interesting. I mean, Rob Manfred did say that he was considering having a 12-pitcher limit for next year, as far as something that you propose to the competition committee. And then MLB also had some ideas about having a 6-inning minimum for starting pitchers. I don't see how you could possibly do that, but you leave those guys out there to die. I don't see how you could do that, but I like that. Whitehole Sun, live and die with LA. I like that. I appreciate that for sure. Don't interview players during the game, Professor. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel fun, especially when your team's losing. There's no doubt about it. We shouldn't be doom and gloom. I feel good about October. D-Mac, that is from DB James. Jaime Hernandez, I don't know. I just see another October coming with a depleted rotation, just like last year and the year before and before. Certainly, definitely feels like that right now. I will say that. But don't give up hope, guys. I mean, the good news is Yamamoto has looked better. Yamamoto looked healthy. And where would this team be if they didn't trade for Jack Flaherty? So you're going to need some dudes. You're going to need Buehler, Kirsch, Knack, Stone, Bobby Miller. I mean, one of those guys is going to have to take up some serious real estate there in the rotation. You just got to hope and pray that they can get something out of Glasnow, because Glasnow was brought in to be the starting pitcher that they didn't have. And the thing with Stone and all these guys, they're really, really good pitchers for sure. Glasnow gives you that dominant swing and miss, that ability to mow guys down. I think of that 14 strikeout game where he pitched 7 innings at 14 punch-outs against the Twins earlier in the season. Not a lot of guys can do that, induce that much swing and miss. So that's why he was so important to this rotation. But I'm not giving up hope. I mean, you just have to hope that in some capacity he can help this team. And it's at the very least, he avoids something major heading into next year, because you did sign this guy to a major deal to be that guy. So that really is a major concern. But, I mean, I'm not here to say, okay. I mean, right now, let's be honest. Game 1, Flaherty. Game 2, Yamamoto. Game 3, just pray that someone figures it out. I don't like that strategy. I don't want to see Kike pitch or decoy pitch. I don't want to see that. Okay, I want to see starters that go out there and can give you some solid innings. For sure. But, yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Do a couple more. Let's do a couple comments on the way out here. Eric says Flaherty's value going up. It might be too expensive for the Dodgers to re-sign. Like that take. Give you a little fire take right there. Jet lag and we old. That's why the Dodgers didn't perform tonight at the plate. Just a bad night. Just a bad night for the offense, and the big three didn't do much. We got the worst thing that they can do is allow Ohtani to pitch this year. We'll talk more about that tomorrow for sure. Jonathan Moore, that's the comment of the show, saying stop doubting decoy. Give you the comment of the show for that one. Jose Marrero says this is on the training staff when the player gets hurt. Happens everywhere. If it's 2, that's concerning. If it's nearly every single player that has played for this team, it's even on them. So, yeah, let's bounce back tomorrow. The Dodgers hopefully can get back in the win column, and hopefully we can get some positive news at some point regarding the starting pitching. But tomorrow you got Jack Flaherty going up against Chris Sale. That feels like a postseason matchup waiting to happen too. But that's going to do it. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. Enjoy your Friday night. Go have some fun. And remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. Until next time, think blue, believe.